There's a thing in my bed that looks like me, but it isn't me. The first time I saw it, I was playing in the backyard with my big sister, Nora. We were kicking the soccer ball around, but she accidentally kicked it too hard, and I couldn't catch it. It rolled right into the woods behind our house. I forget what it's called, but Mom and Dad said weird things were happening there, and we were not supposed to go in there. But I had to get the ball back. It didn't roll too far in. I chased after it and bent to pick it up. When I looked up, someone was standing in front of me. No, not someone. Something. It looked exactly like me. Like, exactly. Abby, don't go too far. Stay where I can see you, Nora called out. Her voice distracted me for a second, and then I looked back to look at this thing that looked like me. I felt scared, like that time that I went to the beach and the current carried me out too far, and I couldn't swim back in. Just when I thought I was never going to get back to the shore and see my family again, or I was going to dip under the waves and not come back up, Dad saved me. I don't like to go in water anymore. But it felt like that. I looked at this thing that looked like me, and it just looked right back at me. It didn't smile, and didn't do anything except stare at me. It was dressed like me, too. We were wearing the same ruffly dress with the same blue leggings. We had the same pink sneakers on, and that thing's sneakers looked just as dirty as mine. We both had pigtails held up with the same pink bows Nora put in our hair this morning. But I didn't think Nora put bows in this thing's hair in the morning, too. I smiled and gave a small wave, but it just stood there and stared at me. It looked bored. It looked how I look in class when we do math worksheets. I didn't know what else to do besides stand there and stare back at it. I was starting to feel uncomfortable. This thing was creepy, and it scared me how much it looked like me. Abby, where are you? I heard Nora call out. Coming, I called back. I turned and ran out of the woods with the ball. I turned back real quick to look at that thing again once I was in the backyard, but it was gone. Nora and I played a little bit more, but then the sky turned gray, and it started to rain, and Mom said we had to come back inside. We watched a movie until Mom said it was time for dinner, but when we turned off the TV, something outside caught my eye. It was the thing that looks like me. It was just standing there in the backyard, looking up at me. The rain had drenched its clothes, and its hair was wet and stuck to its face. It looked miserable out there. I went into the kitchen and climbed up into my chair. I opened my mouth to tell my mom about the thing that looked like me, and how it was just standing outside, and maybe it wanted to come in where it was warm and dry. Maybe it was hungry too. But Mom was complaining about how Dad was late again, and how he always knew what time dinner was, but he never seemed to make it anymore, and what was keeping him. She was in a bad mood, so I thought it might be better to not say anything. When Dad finally did come home, it was late, almost time for bedtime. I was going to tell them both then, but they started arguing, and I don't like when Mom and Dad fight. Come on, Abs, I'll tuck you in tonight, Nora said, taking my hand and leading me upstairs. It was disappointing on nights when Nora had to tuck me in because my parents were fighting, but to make up for it, she read me 2 bedtime stories instead of just one. I have to tell you something, I said in a small voice after she finished reading my bedtime stories. What's up? She asked. When we were outside today, I saw something in the woods. It looked exactly like me. I saw it again outside before dinner. Well, that's weird, Nora frowned. Mom and Dad did say those woods are weird and we shouldn't go inside. Let me know if you see it again, and I'll mention it to Mom and Dad. She gave me a kiss on the forehead and left my room, turning out the lights and shutting the door behind her. I didn't sleep well that night. The rain had turned into a thunderstorm. At one point, lightning flashed and projected the shadow of a small being on my wall. I think that thing was outside. I kept getting the feeling something was watching me, and I kept thinking about it. I was too afraid to look outside the window again. What if it was still watching me from the outside? At some point, I did manage to get some sleep, but it was super late when I woke up. Then I remembered it was Sunday, and that meant Mom was making pancakes. I jumped out of bed and ran downstairs, only to see something that scared me. I could hear my heartbeat in my ears, and it felt like my blood was super cold. In the kitchen, Nora and Mom were cooking pancakes, but the thing that looks like me was standing at the back door. It's a big, heavy sliding door made of a super thick glass. It was standing right in front of the door, its face pressed against the glass. I thought it was odd the glass wasn't fogging up, like when you push your face up against the window and breathe. Oh, sweetie, you're finally awake. Did the storm keep you up last night? My mom asked. I nodded, not taking my eyes off the thing at the door. Can you take these pancakes to the table? She handed me a plate piled high with blueberry pancakes. I carefully carried them over, feeling relieved when I finally got them to the table without dropping any. When I turned around, the thing wasn't at the door anymore. "Okay, breakfast is ready, go wash up," my mom said in a cheerful voice. I was about to ask if my dad was coming, but I thought better of it and went to wash up. When I came back, my mom was really mad. "What happened?" she asked. Pancakes were all over the floor. She turned to me. "Why didn't you say anything? I thought you took them to the table." "I did," I said in a small voice. "I had put them on the table. They were on the table when I left." "Then why are they all over the floor now? If you couldn't handle it, why didn't you ask for help?" my mom continued. She was clearly annoyed, and Nora just looked at me with a disappointed look. The thing was standing in the corner of the kitchen, over by the door. It didn't do anything, didn't say anything, just stared at me from across the kitchen, pancakes scattered on the floor between us. "It wasn't me," I whispered, but they just ignored me. They ignored the thing in the corner too, as they got to work picking up pancakes. I heard my mom mutter something about not having enough to make more, so we would all be having cereal for breakfast. I skipped breakfast and went outside to play. An hour later, Nora came outside to take the trash out. "Hey, you okay? That wasn't like you earlier," she said. I had been kicking the soccer ball around some obstacles I had laid in the grass. "It wasn't me," I said quietly. "What? Is it your imaginary friend Bubbles back?" she laughed. I knew she was teasing, but it still stung. I didn't answer. She set her phone on the deck railing and went around the side of the house to the trash can. I watched her go, but when I turned back to my soccer ball, something on the deck caught my eye. It was the thing that looks like me, and it was standing near Nora's phone. Before I could call out to it, I picked up the phone and smashed it down on the concrete below the deck. It didn't even smile maliciously, or laugh, or frown. It just stared at me with the same bored expression. "Abby, what the hell?" Nora yelled as she saw her phone lying on the ground. She picked it up from where it was. I could see the screen was all smashed. "It wasn't me," was all I could say, but it came out more like a whine. Nora stomped inside and slammed the back door shut behind her. She didn't even notice the thing when she walked by it. How come no one was noticing that there was two of me? "Why did you do that?" I asked it, but it didn't answer. "Why are you doing this to me? Why do you look like me? Why can't they see you? What do you want?" My questions came out rapid fire, but it didn't answer. It did smile though, and it was the creepiest smile I ever saw. "Abby, get in here." My mom opened the door and called out to me. I didn't think twice. I just ran up the stairs past that thing. I knew better than to make my mom yell again. The thing just turned and watched as I ran inside. "Why did you break Nora's phone?" My mom was sitting at the table. Nora's phone was in front of her, and Nora and my dad were nowhere to be found. "I didn't," I insisted. "Well, she says you did. I wasn't even near it. I was playing soccer." I was close to tears. It hurt, constantly being accused of things I didn't do, and it didn't help that no one would believe me. But my mom's face softened and her voice got quieter. "I think I did see you on the grass, but I wasn't out there to see what happened. Did it fall?" she asked. I wasn't sure what else to say, what other excuse I could use. If Nora didn't believe me, my parents definitely wouldn't. I nodded, and I guess that was acceptable to my mom, because she believed me and told me I could go back to playing. I didn't want to be inside with my mom or be Nora where something else could happen. I stayed outside the rest of the day until the sun started to set and my mom called us for dinner. I quickly cleaned up my toys and put the soccer ball back in the toy box we kept outside. I went ahead inside when I saw something that turned my insides cold. My family was sitting at the table. Mom had ordered pizza, but something was sitting in my chair, and it wasn't me. It just sat there, staring at me through the glass door, the same bored expression on its face. No one else at the table noticed it staring at me, or the small smile that crept across its face. Not sure what else to do, I sat down on the deck steps and looked across the yard. I couldn't just walk in there, could I? What if they saw two of us? I decided it was worth a try and went back to the door. I tried to pull it open, but it was locked. The thing at the table was still watching me. If I couldn't go inside, I could at least check out the woods before it got too dark. After all, if they couldn't see me, they couldn't yell at me, right? It was cooler and a little dark in the woods. A few paces in, something caught my eye. It was a green tent. Creeping closer to it, I saw toys scattered around the outside of it. There was a flannel sleeping bag inside the tent and a lot of candy wrappers. I could see the Mr. Potato Head toy I had lost a few years ago. I knew I hadn't misplaced it, but we tore the house apart looking for it and came up empty. My heart got all cold then as I realized that meant this thing had been inside our house. How many times had it been there? Had it taken anything else? Did it spy on us or listen to our conversations? I looked around. Nora's diary laid on the ground, dirty and rumbled for being on the ground and in the weather. The one she had accused me of taking even though I didn't know where she hid it. And the book Mom had been reading last summer, and Dad's orange screwdriver. And Barry, the pink bear I'd slept with for as long as I could remember, until one night she wasn't there. I wonder if she still smelled like berries, despite being covered with dirt and grime. I shivered. I didn't want to be here anymore. I wanted to be as far away from this place as I could get. Mom and Dad were right. There is something wrong with this place. I turned and ran back to the house just as Dad came outside with the pizza boxes to take to the trash can. He didn't even see me running towards the house, but at this point I didn't expect him to. I took the opportunity to slip inside. I grabbed Nora's broken phone off the counter, just in case. I also opened the fridge and found the leftover pizza and grabbed a slice. I was so hungry, I ate it in seconds. I found my mom sitting on the couch in front of the TV. The room was dark, except for the blue globe from the TV. "Mom, there's something in the house," I shouted at her, but she didn't answer. She didn't even move. "Did you leave the fridge open?" my dad asked, coming in the room behind me. My mom shook her head, frowning at him. "Dad, help! You guys are gonna get hurt!" I yelled at him, but he didn't respond. I took turns shrieking their names at them, but they didn't react to that either. I stood in front of the TV, waving my arms and watching my shadows wave back as it stretched across them. They just stared right through me, like I wasn't even there. I sighed and stomped up to my room. Usually Mom would yell at me to stop stomping up the stairs, but she didn't say a thing. The door to my room was only open a crack, and it was dark inside. I slowly pushed the door open. My heart was thumping so loud I thought I could hear it echoing around me. It felt like hours as I waited for the doors to open, the light from the hallway spilling into my room. Something was sitting there, head turned to look at me, like it was just waiting for me to arrive. It smiled when it saw me, but fear trickled over me. There's something in my bed that looks like me, but it isn't me.